Hi everyone, my name is Emma Armin and today I'm with Tig Armin, the principal at Kellogg Middle School. I like to take a lot of these assignments and apply them to the educational standpoint and how leaders do things in that realm. Thank you for being with us today.
Yes.
The book that we are kind of going and basing off these questions is called Leadership BS, so it talks about the truths and kind of what is behind leadership.
Okay.
So I'd like you to take these questions into your own experiences and kind of what you do in a high school or a middle school standpoint.
Okay.
So the first question I have for you, and this all goes pertaining to the book that we're reading, it says, this is a quote that I pulled from the book. It says, leaders do not need to be true to themselves. Rather, leaders need to be true to what the situation and what those around them want and need from them. Speaking on critical moments, this is kind of like what it's applying to is these hard times as a leader. Can you describe your opinion on this and what your leadership approach is to critical moments in your career?
I think to me that's a true statement, because as a leader, the staff that I work with, I am trying to kind of tune into their strengths in every aspect, not necessarily my strengths. So they're the ones that are just in the classroom, they're in the trenches, as I would like to say, and they're the ones that have to work with the kids all day long. So I am trying to give them a foundation that allows them to go ahead and be very critical on what they want to accomplish, not necessarily what I want to accomplish. I kind of just feel like I'm coming in and giving them the overall perspective of here's the big picture, but these are the steps that they need to take to help the whole group get to that focus of the big picture. So for me, it's not, I don't come in with this is how it's going to be done. I'm coming in with the approach of this is what I am helping coach you with and what I'm wanting to help you develop in your classroom so the community overall is really strong.
Right, perfect, thank you so much. The next question is, there is a chapter that dives into the truth telling as a leader. There are examples of lying on resumes when you're getting stuff back to you, lying on political gain, and simplifying lying due to the fact that they can get away with it. As a leader, what is your perspective on kind of just lying in general, and how do you create an environment kind of molding that? I know a lot of my classmates do these projects on executives and those kind of positions in a corporate setting. I think this is still highly pertainable to education. So what's your perspective?
It's definitely pertainable to education because we are the foundation of what everything else is going to be. And so the key component of it is to not, they might lie to get into the position, but to make sure that they realize the importance of what truly needs to be seen and had and experienced in the overall environment of the school. So I don't have a tolerance for it, but people put a lot of different things down on a resume, and I guess that's something you would hope to see in the interview, the real side of them, and making sure that they have the qualities that you are needing in order to have a quality staff to come in and help nurture these students to the best of their ability, with the best of my ability as the leader in that school setting. So the lying, I would say I would have no tolerance for it, but it wouldn't be seen until after the fact, and then we would have to address that on an individual basis and maybe get to the root of why they even thought they needed to do that, or maybe it was something they really thought they wanted to have that quality, and they felt that they didn't, but deep down they actually did. So I think it's a good teach to and a talking point for them.
Thanks for bringing that up as a teach to moment. I think that's really valuable as a leader in any position, is having that moment for communication within them too, and building a better framework for the organization. Okay. The third question is, there's a section of the book that talks about an organization relying too heavily on a leader and creating this idea of creating a less leader dependent system. In your experience of what you're doing and how you run your staff with educational leadership, what is your approach on that foundation of running and operating your school?
So I'm going to kind of answer this in two ways. One, because my educational background and having worked under a bunch of different administrations and seeing those that truly led, and then those that tried to control and lead. And the whole dynamics of the school was completely different. Those that led, teachers were comfortable, students were comfortable, the overall community that was created was comfortable. Those that tried to lead with control, there was definitely a tension that you could just feel within the building. There was tension with every stakeholder that came in, which is not healthy for anybody. So as now a current leader, my approach is to be coaching, like a coach leader, and that is my whole philosophy is I'm trying to draw their strengths out with them, not telling them what they need to do. But everybody has strengths. They're there for a reason. They've had their jobs for, maybe a new teacher a couple of years, or you have veteran teachers of 20 years, but there's a rhyme and a reason for what they're doing, and we're just trying to enhance what they're doing to improve the overall quality of education the kids can get. But it's more than just the educational aspect. It's building like a community of true connection with people and understanding that there's time for growth for them and the ability for them to see that they don't have to be really afraid to try new things. I think in a controlled leadership, that people are really afraid of trying to have different things work towards them. And in a coaching leadership style, you give them the opportunity to try different things and branch out and not be afraid to see what they can do. And I think that is really the growth that's going to happen in the building.
Right. Thank you so much. The next question is, the book talks about the hot word that's kind of this new leadership. You see it all over when you Google and all of that kind of stuff. It compares that between like becoming a leader and becoming a doctor and the different kind of rigor that comes with that and the expectations that comes with that. What is your general perspective on becoming a leader, and how did you get to your position that you're in now?
So general perspective on becoming a leader is the fact that, again, going back to the idea that you have to see what everybody can bring to the table, and you have to work with what they can bring to the table. And if you need to help nurture that, you can encourage them to, again, try different components and maybe get additional staff development days or professional days where they can go in and get some more training on certain things that we might be looking for within the environment. But the reality is we have to start with what they can offer and then build from that. I think it really starts to decline when a controlled leader comes in and thinks that everybody has to be the same. In an educational setting, I'm not looking for cookie cutter staff. I'm looking for people to be their true selves, be having their qualities the best serve not only the students but the whole community within the building. And then the component of the leadership behind it is making sure that it's a communication piece. Everything to me is a teach to and a build upon, and there's really no end game. I'm encouraging all my staff to realize that they have to continue to want to grow and learn and be better. The phrase that I'm kind of hearing right now is, well, that's what we always have done, and that is a phrase that I don't support at all. No. There was a second part to that question. Can you answer or ask that one more time?
So just on how becoming a leader and like what kind of qualities you need to get to, and then how did you get your position? So like what kind of training, what is your, I mean, you have 20 plus years in the field.
Correct.
And so you're pretty well versed. And of course, education, you have to get credits, am I correct, to like build on your leadership? So just like talk about a little bit about like what your experience is.
So the like technical part of it, the educational component, a bachelor's then with a master's, and the master's was in educational leadership. And within that, then you do, just like when you are going into education to begin with, you have an internship, you work under another principal or whatever component in the building. So the thing about that is that when it's a stepping stone, but when I was in the realm of teaching, I took on leadership roles. So I would run the departments, I would run student council. And again, the approach even back then, when I first started out 20 plus years ago, was to assist, not be in control. That was never the intent. With assisting, there's a lot less pressure in the sense that it's okay to delegate. It's okay to have really a team working with you. It's not about controlling the team, it's about finding people that can actually work and help see the vision that you're trying to create and go towards that vision together, and then see what they're going to bring to the table in order to accomplish that vision.
Okay, thank you. And then the last question I have for you is, there's a disconnect between the years of study and development and speaking on this topic and the state of the workplace and leadership in today's world. The harsh reality is that leaders are kind of failing. What do you think has contributed to this, and why is there such a large disconnect? Kind of just,
if I were to put it in the educational component, it's the pressure that we're getting from all different agencies to have these certain standards to be met. You have your local agencies encouraging or directing what you're doing. You have a state level, you have the federal level, and it continues on. So there's just pressure that people are feeling. So as leaders, it's you have to stop and really think about how can you put these in compartments that really can be something tangible that you can work towards and that you can focus on. Because if you try to think of everything that every agency needs, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And if you come in as a leader overwhelmed with all of the almost like to-do list, your staff is going to fall for sure. So it's just making sure you break it down into smaller pieces. It's the small steps to get to the overall picture. It's not just shooting right towards the big end result. It's working towards it and knowing that it's going to be a process. And I think that's why some leaders have a tendency to kind of fail. They come in with this grandiose idea and they think that it's going to just be done within a year. And the reality is you take a long time just building a rapport with the people that you're working with in order for there to be a true, genuine trust that gets to be established before you can move forward. And once you build that, then I really think that everybody is more, they're just comfortable with the idea of being able to risk taking chances, I would say.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid that if they fail, because failure is part of the process of success. And that is huge for people to understand. So when you come into an environment where they've been under a controlled leadership, you definitely can sense that they don't want to take risks because they've been reprimanded for risks that have not gone well, instead of being encouraged to try it in a different approach. Don't change the end game, just try a different way to get there. And that's a big thing that leaders need to see. So I think if you come in and think it's going to be just done very quickly, and that you don't have to build a rapport first, you're not going to be successful.
Right. Thank you so much. Let me check on our time. It looks we're good. Looks like we're pretty good on time. I would like to just ask one more question, kind of wrap this up that it wasn't. But just talking again, like I said, a lot of these AOLL classes, you kind of understand that it's more building on this corporate kind of world. And while we still do a lot of interviews with the University of Idaho and all that, I think education is so similar. The private and the public sector and kind of this idea of all of this. Could you, just hearing you talk, can you just say, just for my classmates to kind of understand, this is a different perspective in a different kind of, not really corporate, but like sector of the world and working. How similar do you think that everything that you're saying can be transferred over to a corporate kind of sector?
I think it's just the whole component of being part of society in general. It's just one segment of being a component of society and building in towards that and working towards being productive in the society. So my approach is, we now, people are kind of hearing like, okay, education trains everything else. The teachers are training all the future jobs. Well, that is true, but we need to know how to do that in a more personalized manner. Our kids are not and should not ever be just numbers. We should get to know who they are. And if I, as a leader, can help my staff grow on their strengths, then in turn I'm hoping that's what they do within their classrooms so that kids are more willing to take risks. So the idea that it's just creating a community, and that happens in education, that happens in corporate America, that you have to know you have a sense of belonging and you have to be willing to try different things without fear of being reprimanded for not being successful.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope you guys enjoy kind of taking this perspective of leadership, and thank you.